Some of you, or I should say most of you watching this, have at one point in your lives posed this question, either through a conversation with others or through a conversation with yourself. What is the meaning of life? This is quite a question to unpack. A good portion of the media has tackled this dreaded question at one point or another, and presuming that you're human, living in the 21st century, that is fortunate enough to have access to the internet and secure enough to be concentrating on this video, chances are you have also wrestled and have been wrestling with this very question recently or in the past. Now, I'm sure we have all heard of the same cliche, everything is pointless and there's no meaning to anything, so we're better off dead anyway, and in my mind I have concluded that that proposition is complete and utter bollocks, and I'm here to tell you why. Now mind you, take everything I say with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, you're listening to a clueless 15-year-old that still can't cook scrambled eggs without making them stick to the bottom of the pan. So strap in, ladies and gents, you're in for one hell of a ride. We're going to be talking all about death, meaning, and sick children. Are you ready? No? Good. First off, I'd like to break down the question of what the meaning of life is into two subcategories that most people lean toward. Those two subcategories are the meaning subcategory, obviously, and the nihilism subcategory. By Google standards, nihilism is defined as the rejection of all religious and moral principles and the belief that life is meaningless, which basically means that anyone who is a nihilist is dead set on either cutting cake from the inside out or walking on the grass when the sign clearly says it's forbidden. Fucking psychopaths. I would also add to Google's definition that a common conception that nihilists have is the idea that your efforts and hardships won't matter anyway in a billion years, so there's no meaning to anything. To that I say, fuck you, you sad scumbag of meat. Framing meaning within such a large time span doesn't prove anything about meaning. It simply proves you can play with potential time frames that can constitute meaning within them. Say you're at a concert. You're listening to your favorite band or artist or whatever play your favorite song. While you're listening, you can hear the intense vibrations rock through your body, echoing harmonious strains of passion throughout the whole crowd, energizing every person around you and creating a stadium of lively vigor. While all that is happening, imagine someone taps your shoulder behind you and says this: "Dude, this whole thing is going to end. Why even bother dance?" Now, obviously you turn around and uppercut the shit out of that guy, knocking some much needed sense into him, and scream to his pathetic face, "Are you crazy, you degenerate, lethargic, blind, stubborn fuck? Do you not see what is happening in front of you?" Sure, his argument may have been factually correct, it is going to end at one point or another, but the fact that it has an end doesn't in the slightest invalidate the concert's overwhelming positive meaning at that current moment. Meaning, at least as far as I'm concerned, shouldn't be evaluated through a time frame that strips all the positive meaning out of it. That's pretty much what happens when nihilists say nothing will matter in a billion years. They insist that whatever task you're doing or interaction you're having must play a significant role in the grand scheme of things over an inconceivable time frame, otherwise the thing you're doing has no positive meaning. In other words, nihilists refuse to see the current positive meaning because instead of looking at the now, they're looking at the endless span of time ahead of them. In conclusion, fuck off, nihilists. A caveman walks with God. God says, "How's the wife?" Caveman says, "Meh, still waiting around for the Bronze Age to come about. Hey, would you mind hurrying it up a bit?" God says, "Sorry mate, too bored to rip the fabric of space and time itself. Maybe some other time, eh?" Caveman says, "So, what am I up here for exactly?" God says, "Well, I'm confused about something, and I've been meaning to ask you about it. You see, somewhere around 5,000 years to a million in the future, your descendants will walk the face of Earth and leap forth in great ventures. They will be called humans. Long story short, they are gods compared to you. They will have built a world you could only dream of, and they will create things and ideas and cultures that you wouldn't be able to fathom even if I told you. You should take pride in your blood, yet dismay at its potential. Millions upon billions will perish and many more will be born. Your mind and perceptions will slowly contort and adapt in miraculous ways just to make more and be more and do more. They will stomp on Mother Nature itself and bend entire nations to their will. They will nurture vast gardens of Eden and tranquility while simultaneously creating steaming cauldrons of hell. Sick children will arise with illnesses and curses that will span generations, and prodigies will come about that will save Earth from inevitable doom. All of that, yet they will still despair and writhe in their own condition. So much so that in their own narcissistic vanity will name their own suffering after themselves, the human condition. I am confused because despite the regal structures they will forge, despite the empyrean heights they will soar, despite infinite riches they will devour, they will still find something to wallow about in misery. Whether it's about whose land belongs where, or who has the pointiest missiles that can cause the most fuckery to the most amount of people in the least amount of time, or whether it's about what pronouns you use and whether you call them an attack helicopter or a constipated giraffe, or whatever the fuck they choose to identify as, humans, your descendants, will find a way to loathe in their own self-pity while waltzing away in a nihilistic dance to anarchy. So that's what I'm so confused about. How can you, a mere caveman, someone with barely the capacity to imagine the potential of your own kin, be so content with your life while the gods you will one day make gloom about who knows what? You have nothing. All you have is a spear, a cave, and a family. And yet you tread through life with a smile and without depression, nihilism, or anything remotely close to that nature, yet your descendants have everything. Everything they could ever ask for, and they still suffer. How could they forget how far they've come? How could they forget all that they have? Caveman says, I guess nihilism isn't chill like that. Yup. Yep. Hey, speaking of my descendants, what's hentai?